Never let anybody see you sweat.
So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener.
I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw.
Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Chadwick Patina claims he got stuck paying the rent after he came home and discovered his girlfriend moved out without telling him. Diana Stavros says Mr. Patina was forcing her to exercise so much she got sick.
Mr. Patina, you're suing your former girlfriend and roommate, Ms. Stavros, for $5,000 that you say she owes you for moving out before your lease ended. Okay, tell me what happened here.
Well, Your Honor, myself and Ms. Stavros, we met on a dating app about a year ago, and after a few amazing, wonderful dates, she decided she was spending a lot of time with me, more time in my apartment than she was at home with her own parents. And just by happenstance over an organic conversation, which I believe, where I was just frustrating and venting about the bills, she offered to move in, and then...
So she moved into the apartment you were already...
That I was already living in.
Were you on a lease?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in the middle of a lease. She moves in, and...
We're living together, everything's going well. I'm hearing wedding bills, to be honest with you.
Oh, very fast.
So
how long were you guys dating?
At that point, we were together about 6 months.
Okay.
And I just had the idea that, hey, if we're gonna get married, we should both look good in I should look good in my tux, and you should look good in your wedding dress. I know you haven't worked out in a while, but with my job, I work as a manager at a gym. How about I get us some personal training? I'll run everything. We get up 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 days a week. We run, we lift our weights. We're doing lightweight because we want to tone. We don't want to just bulk out. A few months into that, she tells me she's tired and she don't want to do it no more. She's feeling sick. The doctor says she has something that sounds like a rapper from social media, rhabdomyolysis. And all she had to do was drink water and rest. So essentially, she blamed me for her illness when all I was trying to do was teach her accountability and responsibility. But then at the end of the day, I realized that no matter what I was going to do, it was all my fault. Because apparently I fell in love with someone who was...
Did she break up with you?
She left.
Why did she leave? Did she tell you why she was leaving?
No, I came home from work and she was
let's ask her. Why did you leave?
When it came to the workout regimen, I was under the impression that we would start off slow and kind of ease into it.
Well, that's how you have to do it.
Right, but we were doing 6 days a week for 2 months straight to the point where I was getting sick. And so I just went with it when he said that in order for him to propose to me, I needed to lose weight and get in shape. So,
okay, there's so many things wrong with that sentence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Like, when someone says that to you, don't you realize this is also not the right person?
Yes, I did come to that conclusion with hindsight. Yes, now I know hindsight is definitely 20/20.
Oh, the man hasn't lived is going to spit that out at me and expect me to stick around. Like, in other words, you know, it's such an offensive thing to say. It's one thing to say, hey, you know, working out is important to me. It's important to our health. It's important to our longevity. Yeah. Why don't we start working out? And then buys you a membership, and then you go and you start slow, or you start with a trainer. Who would have told you to start slow? Did you start with a trainer, or he was your trainer?
He was the trainer, and I let him take the lead. He said that he knew what he's doing since he manages a gym. So I went with that. I let him take the lead on that, and it was just the most vigorous cardio and weightlifting.
Yeah, but you don't go. Everybody knows that.
Horrible.
You don't go from 0 to 60 that fast, because then it's unsustainable. How many months did it take before you got sick of them?
2.
And then at that second month, what happened?
That second month, I was actually leaving the gym. I headed to work. Once I got there, I had to use the restroom, and my urine came out a dark brownish color. So I went to the ER. The doctor, after doing tests and everything like that, he saw that I had rhabdomyolysis, and with that,
what is that?
It's a breakdown of muscle tissue. that occurs when you're doing too vigorous of a workout too soon. I hear that from the doctor. He tells me that it can be cured with rest and lots of water.
How much rest?
For about a month or so.
And not do any exercise?
Not do any, like just start off with just walking after a couple of weeks, but slowly walking, like maybe back and forth to the kitchen.
What happens if you don't? If you were to have kept going, what would have happened?
It can be fatal.
Okay.
It can be fatal. So once I got home, I let Mr. Patina here know that all the workout that we had been doing, that's what caused me to finally get to this place. And his rebuttal was that, no, it's because that you've never worked out a single day in your life, and that's why you're at the place that you're at right now. So I'm just like, you know, at this point, it's like I said, hindsight's 2020, but that's when it was thrown in my face that, you know, this is just not for me. Like, you're not the man for me. And when it comes to the rent, he started to make these statements after a month in.
What statements?
That basically he was paying all the rent, he was paying all the bills, this and that, and just naming off, like listing his expenses to the point where I felt obligated to kind of ask, like, hey, would you like me to help you out with the rent? And so once everything happened with the medical condition, everything like that, he tells me it's my fault. The next day, I, you know, got help to go over to the house, grabbed all my things, moved back to my parents' home, and I blocked him.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
What planet do you go from never working out your whole life to killing yourself 6 days a week?
Who says that's subjective?
It's not subjective.
And later,
They're asking you not to do it.
They weren't necessarily having a problem when I was undressing. It was more when I was getting ready to jump.
Okay, well, like, okay.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Chadwick Patina, who blames Diana Stavros for sticking him with the rent.
You never give him the courtesy of a breakup.
No.
Not a call,
I
nothing.
feel like he broke up once he made that statement. We were
Which
broken
one in
up.
particular?
That it's your fault because you've never worked out a single day in your life since the day you were born. After that,
That's
no.
a misquote.
What was the actual thing you said?
Ma'am, I said all I'm trying to do is help you, because
Did you ever say this happened because you never worked out a day in your life?
I never said that to her. It
Did
doesn't
you
even
say
sound like
anything
something
that
I would
sounded
say.
like it?
No.
Are you
nothing
kidding
like
me?
it. She's playing a victim.
Are you serious?
That's all she's doing is playing a victim.
Your Honor, that is not true at all. He sat there and told me.
There was never any
Right,
evidence of any
told
doctor
me.
visit. There was never any documentation. She has no. I, on the other hand, have evidence of her verbally agreeing to pay half this rent through the end
Yeah,
of this
let's
lease.
see your evidence. And do you or don't you have doctors?
I don't have
Okay.
that with me.
She can barely even
I don't
pronounce the
care.
word.
All you got to do is say, I don't feel like it. I'm not working out on your schedule. That's all you got to say because you are the master of your own body. Jeez. Thanks again for wanting to pay half the rent. We're going to get to do so much more now that my funds have been freed up. Of course, I'm living there after all. I'm going to get us a gym membership too. Let's get you in shape, baby. Love you. That just would not go over well with me. I mean, see, the thing is, you know, you're entitled to the person you want to have. Working out is a big part of my life and a big part of my husband's life. I'll be honest with you, it's a bigger part of my husband's life than it is of mine. However, the fact that he is so religious about it makes me a little more religious about it. And so, you know, we're in our mid-60s and we look pretty damn good, I would say. And so you are entitled to want what you want, but just be a human about it. And you're talking about marrying her even though she hasn't lifted a finger her whole life, and now you're just gonna mold her into your image of what you want. I mean, this was destined to fail.
You know, and I gave her an idea. I didn't force her. I said, hey, how does this sound?
Yeah, but why would,
She
can I
didn't
ask
say
you
no.
something?
Gave me a
Running a
proposition.
gym,
Lead a horse to water.
stop. Running a gym is one skill set. Being a trainer is another skill set. Were you ever a trainer?
I was a trainer before I
Okay,
managed that same
in
gym.
what planet do you go from never working out your whole life to killing yourself 6 days a week?
Who says that's subjective?
It's not subjective.
It wasn't.
It's not subjective. Every trainer I've ever had, everything I've ever read tells you that you slowly build up or you're gonna injure yourself.
We were doing light cardio and some light weights.
She says it was 6 days a week.
We were powerlifting,
Hold
Your
on.
Honor.
Honestly, it doesn't even matter. We're talking about the rent, not about the wisdom of the workout. So I don't know why I get so hung up. It's just that on top of everything, it's not only insulting, it's also wrong. But did you agree that you would stay there for the duration of his lease, paying half of his rent?
I did not. I agreed that while I'm living there, I would agree to pay half of the rent.
What
But
would
it's-
happen if you two broke up? She's supposed to stay living there, sleeping in your bed for the rest of your lease? That you had entered into without her, by the way?
I would at least expect a conversation. We had no conversation. She just
Okay,
up
so
and
wait.
left.
I agree with you on that. I think that was wrong of her. So you have a conversation. She says, I'm breaking up with you. Now she doesn't owe you the money?
We at least have some type of, because when we started, because of the money I was saving, I'd already booked our trip. We were going to go to Miami. They'd already booked the hotel and everything, with the premise that now I don't have to spend the $1,250. I'm saving an extra $1,250 every month.
I'm asking you, what was envisioned in your verbal agreement that you want me to find binding to the end of your lease? What would have happened if you guys broke up, which is what happened? She's supposed to continue to pay you half the rent and not live there, or continue to pay you half the rent and sleep in your, is this a one bedroom?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
sleep next to you and just stay there another 8 months, so however long the lease you signed was?
So we only had 4 months left, and we never had that conversation.
So, okay, let me rephrase. She's supposed to lie down next to you for 4 months, even though you've broken up. That's what was envisioned in your verbal agreement?
No, the agreement was if we break up, we at least
Have a conversation.
compensate me for something
Compensate you for what?
for the remaining 4 months.
Why? You started that lease without her. You were paying that rent without her. When she moved in, you envisioned a better lifestyle where she participates in helping to pay the rent because she works. And so that's what you ended up doing after she moved in. You didn't let her in under some premise that she was going to be paying half the rent. And your agreement for her to pay half the rent, why would it ever encompass a period of time after you guys break up? Verdict for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
Any last remarks for each other?
Child, you're more of a pain than my disease.
I knew this wasn't going to work out because you don't work out.
Coming up,
They end up telling you what the next day?
It was either that the whole trip was canceled, which everyone paid for,
Right.
or she could be escorted off the yacht.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. Sandra Seabrooks claims her birthday getaway on a luxury yacht was ruined after one of her guests decided to skinny dip. Kendra Acosta says her midnight swim was the plaintiff's idea, so she's not to blame.
Ms. Seabrooks, you are suing Ms. Acosta, I guess your former friend, for $1,050 that her behavior ended up costing you when she was at a birthday celebration for you. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so I know the defendant through a mutual friend, and we were celebrating my 30th birthday. We chartered a luxury yacht in Antigua.
So how many people were on it?
There were 5 of us total.
Okay.
Yeah, and our mutual friend couldn't make it last minute, so I, of course, had met the defendant multiple times through her, thought she was really cool, and rather than having that spot go to waste, I thought it would be fun for her to come. You know, it's my 30th, so it's a big milestone, and I thought it would be fun that at midnight if we all jumped into the ocean. But then at about 11 o'clock, I realized that we had a few drinks and maybe it wasn't safe and I got really tired, so I actually ended up going to bed.
Wait, was anything discussed before you went to bed about pulling the plug on the concept of jumping over the water?
It seemed like interest was kind of faltering. I figured since I was the one doing it, or that I suggested it, that if I wasn't gonna be there.
There was staff on the boat, obviously, because somebody else
Yeah.
was driving. All right, how much staff was there on the boat?
There was probably, I would say, 10 deckhands, maybe a steward, a stewardess,
had
and the captain.
the subject come up at all with the deckhands on the safety of doing such a thing?
Not while I was present.
All
I
right,
went to
so
bed.
you end up going to bed at what
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, around 11 o'clock.
And then the others stay up.
Yeah, I told my friend, I mean, we rented
And
this.
what happened?
Finally, it came down to the moment to jump off the side of the yacht, and so I got undressed down to my bra and underwear because in her text messages where she presented the idea, she said, no clothing allowed.
Were the deckhands around you when this was going on?
They were somewhat close. They were saying that it wouldn't be as safe and that, you know, I could possibly drown if I, you know, wasn't.
That would be a no, right? So they're asking you not to do it.
They weren't necessarily having a problem when I was undressing. It was more when I was getting ready to jump.
Okay, well, like, okay.
Coming up,
What were the other girls doing, according to your recollection, when you jumped? Were they hooting and hollering and egging you on, or were they telling you don't do this?
Kind of in the middle.
But none of them were undressing and jumping.
No.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Sandra Seabrooks, who brought Kendra Acosta to court for skinny dipping.
It may have been worth it for you because you have that memory of jumping into that ocean, and I hope it was worth it for you, but here's what ended up happening, which was pretty predictable, okay? They end up telling you what the next day? Your charter is over unless she's gone.
It was either that the whole trip was canceled, which everyone paid for.
Right.
Or she could be escorted off the yacht, which obviously I chose.
Because what? What did the captain tell you?
Because she didn't abide by the rules. She jumped off the boat.
While people were telling her not to.
Yeah, well,
who worked on the
deckhands-
boat.
Exactly. And yeah, so I feel like anyone would have chosen to have her escorted off and presented with those options.
Right. So that's what you chose. You tell, that had to be awkward. So you tell her, hey, you got to get off the boat. They don't want you on.
Yeah, it was a bit awkward.
Was everybody else upset that she was leaving or not really? Okay.
They didn't
And then they ended up adding a bill to your tab for the boat they had to rent to get her off of the ship.
Yeah, so the owner of the yacht had to take a specialty boat to bring her back to shore, which was an additional $1,050.
And that's what you're suing for today.
Yeah.
And why, give me a reason that I should not make you pay for that when it was a cost that she incurred only because you violated the rules while staff was telling you not to jump.
I wouldn't have even thought to do it if it wasn't presented by her in the first place and amped up by the other girls in the friend group.
What were the other girls doing, according to your recollection, when you jumped? Were they hooting and hollering and egging you on, or were they telling you don't do this?
Kind of in the middle. A couple of the girls were like, okay, you know, excited, but like at the same
But
time.
none of them were undressing and jumping.
No.
Judge Milian's verdict when Justice for the People returns. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian.
Ms. Acosta, I know you meant to just have fun, and that's great, but there's a cost to it, and it shouldn't be on her tab. We have to take accountability for them. I don't think it was that big a deal, I'll be honest with you. But it matters that the captain and the deckhands thought it was a big deal, because you have to listen to the captain and the deckhand. So if they think it's a big deal because they're worried about liability, then you're supposed to do what they say. And if you don't, then the consequence of this extra $1,050 should not be on birthday girl. It's on you. Verdict for the plaintiff, $1,050.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,050.
The fact that we even had to be here is ridiculous. This could have been solved over a text message.
Yeah, well, it's ruined our friendship and our mutual friendship, so.
Exit this way, please.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.